What's up, YouTube? It's Mike here, back with another video. I haven't got basically anything done on the 1500 in the past week, but I wanted to take you guys through some tank updates and give you guys an idea of what my plans are for the future, not only for the 1500 gallon, but for a lot of these tanks. So let's get right into it. It's been a while since we've done an all my aquariums video, so in the last one I started upstairs, and I will do the same thing here, and we can work kind of like from the smallest tanks to the biggest, kinda, but we'll work our way down to the fish room. There isn't much up here anymore. The last all my aquariums video, I think I had flower horn up here, and this tank was still here, but there isn't much up here now, so let's start with this 125 behind me. So as I was saying, this 125 was here over a year ago since that last update video. I used to have my Fahaka puffer, which he recently passed away a few months back. He was about 7 years old, going on 8 years old. He got bloated, and I'm not sure if it was from overeating or what. But I tried a few different things and I was not able to save him, unfortunately. So that was a huge loss for me, one of our favorites. So RIP to Turk the Fahaka puffer. But as some of you may know, I did get this Mabu puffer within the past like 6 months, and I had them divided off for a while. Now this Mabu is a complete potato, and he just chills in this corner most of the time until I feed. And what a lot of times I'll do is I'll try to put clams over here just to make him come out of the corner. But he's an aggressive eater, but I don't turn the lights on this tank very often. And when I do, he gets even more like, I'm gonna sit in the corner. So I'm also kind of talking loudly, but this is how he is. So I actually talked to a few different Mabu puffer keepers about how he is, and he's been through multiple rounds of dewormer, and one of the things they mentioned was tank temperature. They like it a little bit cooler than what I was keeping it at. I was around 80, 81, and they like it around 78, so I've slowly decreased the temperature in this tank to see if that gets his activity up a bit. But he has grown in the past like 6 months, and he does eat well, so he seems healthy. So that is it for him. He is a potato. He's a boring fish compared to the Fahaka. The Fahaka was a lot more active, but maybe it is something to do with the temperature, and as the temperature slowly gets down into the 70s, the high 70s, I'll hope that that turns his personality around. So other than that, there is a lot of guppies in here, and there is, and I don't know if we're gonna find them. Oh, I think I see them. There is a little Niger cat. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see him. But there is a small Niger cat that I'm growing out in here also. And that is pretty much it for this tank. I have been introducing a bunch of sponge filters to this tank slowly. And I used to have another canister on it. I got rid of that canister. And I'm eventually going to get rid of this canister as well. So just run it off sponge filters. I'd prefer the maintenance of the sponges to the canisters, and the canister is getting loud anyway. So that's pretty much it for this tank. I don't want to run this tank long term. I said that a year ago. I'd like to get this tank out of the first floor, maybe get rid of it altogether, but for the sake of the Mabu, I don't have any other place I could put him for now. So until he got bigger and a little bit more brave, I would never really be able to keep him with anything. So for now, he'll stay in this 125. Now, if you all remember, a few months back, before I started the 1500, I moved this 240 gallon tank to the upstairs from the basement to make room to be able to build the 1500. Well, a lot of things have happened since then, and long story short, I was running this tank for a while, and it recently blew a seam on me. Luckily, we were home when it happened. It was a pretty big disaster, but it blew a seam. There could be multiple reasons for it. The tank is older, that's one of them. There's a little bit of bounce to the floor. That could be playing a role on some stress on the tank. And also the stand was not made perfect for this tank, so I did worry about the stand a bit, but I think in general it's made out of thin 1/2 inch acrylic, and it is an older tank, so I think over time that seam just came apart. Or maybe that seam just was not welded together properly. I don't really know. But big disaster. I don't plan on setting this tank up again or fixing it anytime soon. It's actually for sale, but I put it up for quite a high amount of money, so I highly doubt anyone's ever gonna buy it anytime soon. I'm having a hard time parting with it. But again, if somebody comes with the right number, I will sell it. Moving right on to the 220 gallon tall acrylic tank. I still have not finished the stand on this tank, and I might never do it, to be honest. And don't mind my mess here. I got a lot going on for projects. Anyway, this is a community tank. Got a good mix of, a good variety, I should say, of different cichlids and some gold gourami. We have this awesome little tire track eel. He's super active, always out and about. Comes up right to your hand, he'll eat out of your hand. So yeah, there's just a little bit of everything in here. We've got Viejas and Spillum. We've got Hecali, a few different types of geos and things like that. So lots of different catfish, a black ghost knife. Trying to think of what else is in here. This little pike cichlid, bunch of different things that I've acquired over the years from different people, bunch of different basically rehomes, and so far it all works pretty well. A few different little plecos in there also, I forgot to mention that. Bunch of Synodontis cats. But this is the 220 gallon tall aquarium. It's a little over 7 feet long, and it is a little over 19 inches wide at its widest, and it's 36 inches tall. Pretty cool tank. Even though it's very slim, it's still pretty cool. And I have just loaded this with driftwood to give things lots of hiding places. And speaking of driftwood, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Andy over at the Driftwood outlet on Instagram. He sent me a bunch of awesome pieces, and I plan on weighing these down and putting them in the 220 and another tank that I'm going to show you pretty soon. But these are really cool, so if you guys are interested in any big pieces or small ones like this, hit up Andy at the Driftwood outlet on Instagram, because he's got some pretty cool stuff. He did a really good job restoring stuff, making sure that it is tank safe. So go check him out. Now, I feel like every time I show you guys this tank, it is a mess. I promise I do clean it, although my sponges need a serious cleaning right now. This is my convict grow out tank. Pretty much meant to just start a colony of convicts. And I do have a plan for these guys, which I'll be talking about very shortly. So I'm going to add some of that driftwood that Andy sent me into this tank to help give them some more hides while they await their giant upgrade. And this is just a double 55 rack, although the top tank is a 60. I replaced one of my 55s with a 60. So it's just a dual rack, and I used the top one for quarantine, and this one has been for the convicts for a while now. The quarantine tank, this 60 gallon, he's not really quarantining anymore, but this is a Dorado cat. This was a bucket list catfish for me. I was really always wanted one of these, and I got an opportunity. I got this one from Jay Lee, and I'll put his info down right now so you guys can check him out. He's on Facebook. But yeah, he's been great. He's definitely not quarantining anymore. I have treated him for everything. He's been very healthy. This has kind of just become his grow out. I don't really plan on getting any new fish anytime soon. So he has this 60 gallon to himself until I can open up a bigger grow out tank for him. But I don't want to move him around a whole bunch and stress him out. He's doing very well in here, and he eats really well. So very happy about this Dorado cat. All right, moving on to this 180 gallon reef ready aquarium. This has changed hands a lot for me and kind of been like a utility use for when it's needed. Eventually, I do want to get rid of this tank, but obviously right now I need it. So I have 3 Florida gar in here. I have one chocolate cichlid. I have my vulture cat. This is my Ocellaris peacock bass, and I know she looks like she's in rough shape, and that's because she is blind. She lays on the bottom, but she does eat. And this is Decorus synodontis, or Synodontis decorus. And there's another little Synodontis cat in here somewhere. Oh, there he is. I think that's a feather fin of some sort. Again, a lot of these were adoptions. She wasn't. I've had her for about 3 years now, and she slowly went blind, and now she just sits on the bottom. But if I toss food in there, she will eat it. I just kind of got to drop it on her head. And then this hybrid cat back here, he is not dead. So as soon as I drop food in the tank, he jumps to life. He is a hybrid Niger cat and with a tiger shovel nose. So I got him as a baby, but he is definitely a weird, stunted, deformed fish. As he has grown, he has become more crooked, but he does eat very well, and he's a very interesting catfish. But I do feel bad that whatever his deformities are from being hybridized do affect him in some ways, obviously, and the fact that he lays upside down is a bit odd also, but he's been doing that for a very long time where he lays upside down. So, but he gets around just fine. He's an aggressive eater, like I said, so I'll keep him as long as he's doing okay. And now I have my vulture cat in here because he was getting aggressive in the big tank. Eventually he will go into the 1500, and I will talk about that in a bit. Moving on to the 210-gallon giant gourami tank. If anybody keeps giant gouramis, you know that they are mean. They're very, very mean. Very mean. So this is Pinky, the albino giant gourami, and this is Shelly, the gray giant gourami. They have got through the dividers a few times, and they don't really harm each other, but I've caught it early. I know if given time, they will harm each other. Eventually, I want to try to keep Pinky in the 1500 with all the big catfish. I think that might work, just bottom dwellers. I don't think he'd do well with any other type of cichlid or any other gourami, anything like that, but I'm gonna try to put him in the 1500 with all the big cats someday. Had these guys for many years now. The gray was a rescue and hasn't grown past this, but Pinky has just gotten huge and he just seems to keep growing. So they are awesome fish, but they pretty much need to be alone. That's all I'll say about giant gourami. But they're some of my favorites. This is my 300-gallon grow out. I'm using it to grow out my ray pups and the arowanas, a little bit of everything. I had 2 silver arowanas also, which within like a month I lost both of them randomly, and I'm not sure why. I assume it was to spooking, but upsettingly enough. So I've got 3 albino silvers. One, the smallest one, appears to be a short body, which is kind of cool. So I love my arowanas, and eventually I will put them in the 1100 once they get big enough, and once the 1500 is done. So I'll go through some of the rays really quick as to keep this a short video. This is a female pearl. This is a female hybrid. It's a Motoro marble hybrid. This is a hybrid black diamond stingray from the Center for Stingray Biology. Kevin bred this one. She's a beauty, and as you see, she's gotten way bigger than everything else, which is crazy. This is my aggressive little Leo pup. He's a Leo hybrid. This is another hybrid Motoro marble, and this is a male pearl, a little darker than the female. I also have a Tigrinus catfish sitting over in the corner being fat, and all these rays are really hungry because I did not feed them yesterday, so they are not happy about that, and they are crowding waiting for me to feed. So I also have 3 iridescent sharks. I put that little iridescent shark in there a long time ago. Everyone was freaking out. He's gonna get eaten, he's gonna get eaten. He didn't get eaten, he's still good. Eventually I'm gonna have to move him to a different tank though. This isn't gonna work, especially because I plan on upgrading this entire setup. So as for future plans, all the rays and the arowanas I want to put into this system here, the big tank. And the iridescent sharks I plan to put into the other big tank, the 1500. The 300 I'm probably going to get rid of altogether and replace with this 600-gallon acrylic tank that I got pretty recently. So it's a wider footprint. It's literally double this tank, so it's just going to come out another 2 feet. So I'll just take this 300 down completely, swap it out with the 600, and I'm going to do the same style thing. It's going to have its own filtration, but it's going to be on the same system as this 1100. So with that said, let's get on to the 1100. So this is the 1100-gallon plywood aquarium. I call it 1100 gallons because I'm using the inner dimensions and how high it is filled. It is just about 1100 gallons. Actually, I think it was a little bit more. So I rounded it to 1100. Now, I have a bunch of catfish in here, obviously. A lot of bigger stuff. A couple of larger male Castexi stingrays. Big clown knife. Lots of iridescent sharks. Bunch of hybrid catfish. Big fire eel in the back there. So, oh, and a big lungfish also. And one silver arowana in here. Can't forget about the silver arowana. So I think I covered pretty much all the fish. I love this tank, but the catfish are quickly outgrowing it. So that is why I started building the 1500 gallon. Now, my plans for the future, I want to take all the iridescent sharks, the hybrid catfish. I want to take Pinky, the giant gourami, the vulture cat. Eventually, those iridescent sharks, when they get big enough, the clown knife, and put them into this tank. That is the goal. So what will be left in here is the lungfish, the fire eel, maybe a couple of the cichlids, and the 2 rays. Then I can take all these rays and arowana. I could pretty much take this whole tank and put everything from that tank into here. And as I'm saying this, I forgot to show off my little female pearl pup. She's doing quite well in her own little tank. So this will just be arowanas and stingrays for the most part, with a couple of oddballs, and that will be a nice big setup for them long term. Now technically, if any of the rays get too large, I can move them over to this bigger system in the future also to spread out some of these rays, because it is 9 stingrays that would eventually be in here. That's a bit much even for a 10 by 6. So eventually I might have to divide some of the rays over with the catfish. I also plan on rehoming some of the blue iridescent sharks. I did not ever plan on having 7 iridescent sharks. I've taken in a lot of these as rescues, so I will probably rehome them to somebody who can properly care for this size iridescent sharks. So I will dwindle down the stock to a degree, but that is the long-term plan. This would be pretty much just a catfish tank with Pinky in it, and I think that will really work well. I can also take all of my Florida gar and put them into the 1100. I forgot about that. So I think the 2 different types of tanks will be really cool. Plus, it will make feedings far easier on me. I have a very hard time feeding the rays in this tank, so now I can feed my rays every day as much as I want to and not worry about the catfish overeating. So yeah, that is my end goal. And as far as the 1500 goes, go back and check out the last update video of building this if you haven't. It was my 4th part of building the 1500 gallon. I still have not gotten anything done on it in the past week, as I was saying earlier in the video. I am waiting on another sheet of fiberglass still, but I have everything else. So once I get that sheet, fiberglass, wait 2 days, and then I can start epoxying the inside completely. So guys, I know that this was a quick fly through video, but I wanted to get everything in and it be in a timely manner. Next week,
we are sure to have so much more progress done on this 1500. We're gonna be almost ready for glass is the goal. Stay tuned. I'm trying to upload every Tuesdays. If you haven't noticed already, if you've been following along, Tuesdays are pretty much my upload day. Don't forget, follow me on Instagram for daily uploads. I do little updates on each and every fish. I try to anyway. I try to rotate through fish on Instagram. So check out Instagram. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in that next video. Thanks.